I'm Simon Miller from WhatCulture.com, filling in for Jack this week, who's currently scouring the country, trying to find a wrestler brave enough to take on Rampage at the upcoming WCPW event. Good luck with that. But based on Scott Carlson's article on WhatCulture.com, which you should definitely go and check out, it's this week's ups and downs from last night's Raw, where we see if the show had more good points than bad points. Because nothing in wrestling is just okay. It's either really, really great or painfully awful. Like losing your hair. Unfortunately, we start on a down note, as it seems like the Golden Truth is still a thing. While there was somewhat of a story for their 5-month build, their feud with Fandambreeze, or whatever the hell Tyler Breeze and Fandango are called, just feels incredibly limp. Aside from some awful colour commentary that made me want to cry, and an entrance where all Goldust and R-Truth do is remind you what their team name is, it seems obvious that once this feud wraps up, there's going to be little for each team to do, other than maybe appear on main event. Thankfully, where tag teams are concerned, there was a major up on this week's Raw where Gallows and Anderson went from losing to the Usos a few weeks ago to tearing the entire division a new one. The club kicked the hootenanny out of the New Day during their match with the Vaudevillains, leaving all 3 members lying. Then they got on the mic and promised the rest of the roster that more destruction was coming. That's how you book a successful and dominant tag team, WWE, and now Gallows and Anderson feel like a massive deal, especially with what happened later in the evening. Why? Because an angle on this week's show has got to be considered one of the biggest Raw ups in some time. And grammatically, that sentence is all over the place. I'm just that excited. During John Cena's comeback, which let's not forget WWE has promoted hard for weeks, AJ Styles rejoined the club and the 3 of them demolished Big John in the middle of the ring. AJ Styles went as far as to shout out, "I'm doing you a favour, world," and "You're welcome, world." It was awesome. In many ways, AJ Styles was right too. Not only does this make him one of the company's top heels, alleviating any fears that he's about to be pushed away from the main event scene, but the club are now back together and they're a bigger force than ever. And okay, they're only broken up for 1 week, but that's how you get the jump on John Cena. With lies. Admittedly, it's hard to see Styles coming out on top of this feud, given that, it's John Cena, but right now, it's all incredibly exciting. This moment of triumph didn't mean that Raw was free of its usual tricks though, especially when it comes to Natalya in the women's division. I would be terrified to be in a car with Natty, because I'm 99% sure I'd be killed in a horrible accident when literally anything distracted her. I understand that WWE doesn't want her successive losses to make her look weak, but nearly all of Natalya's matches end because something steals her attention away, and then she gets pinned. At Extreme Rules, it was Dana Brooke dressing up like a goof, and last night at Raw, all it took was Charlotte getting up on the apron, and Natalya completely forgot about her opponent. It makes her look stupid, and it's a definite down. Another low point came in how WWE treated Money in the Bank this week. How they didn't really treat it at all. 7 days ago, the entirety of Raw was built around Money in the Bank and how important the briefcase was. Fast forward to this week, and you'd be forgiven for feeling stupid for even buying into that in the first place. As you may remember, the graphic for the match featured 7 competitors that were blacked out, and after Alberto Del Rio qualified on Smackdown, that meant there was 1 place left. And yet there was no match on Raw, and when they showed the image for the match, one of these shadows had mysteriously disappeared. What makes it even stranger is that WWE.com is still showing an open slot, so who knows what's going on there. It's a down. Proving that odd decisions like this aren't par for the course though, Enzo and Cass once again shone on Raw. While they've had the upper hand for the most part in their feud with the Dudleys, Bubba and Devon staring up at the lights once again just makes Enzo and Cass look like an even bigger deal. Even if you never watched NXT and you never knew who they were, you're now getting to a point when you're like, damn, these people are a threat to be reckoned with. Plus Enzo was back in the ring. Plus the two cut another great promo. So that's an up. Following on from that trend, it was a delight to finally see Apollo Crews get some character development and give us a hint of what direction he's going in. And yeah, on paper, the Big Show giving him a pep talk sounds awful, but it actually made a whole lot of sense. The grizzled veteran taking the peppy newcomer under his wing, Show made it clear to Cruz that Sheamus' beatdown last week was out of fear that his time was coming to a close as the new era started to rise to prominence. It was simple and effective, even if Apollo Crews did ask why Sheamus was picking on him, like a child who was upset. Come on, Apollo. Speaking of the new era, Raw opened with Shane and Stephanie selling the idea of SmackDown going live and the upcoming brand split. They didn't really do that good a job, mind. Aside from going way too long and being incredibly awkward, Shane said that 1, SmackDown was a tape show, which WWE don't really admit on live TV, and 2, that SmackDown would be better when it went live. Right, so Smackdown up to this point has been rubbish. More fool me for watching it then. Throw in that the crowd didn't really seem to care, and that there's no story for all this at the moment, and not even the New Day could save the segment, although them freaking out that they may get split up was kind of funny. Still, it's a down, which tragically brings us to another down. I'm not sure what WWE was going for in this week's interaction with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, but whatever it was, it did not work. For starters, Roman somehow got his whole "I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy" spiel in, even though his promo only lasted 8.9 seconds, and then Seth Rollins came out and just pretended to do things for the rest of the segment. He pretended he was going to get in the ring, then didn't. He pretended he was going to fight Reigns, then didn't. He pretended he was going to speak, then didn't. Then he just laughed and walked away. So the two essentially did nothing. JBL and friends were quick to paint this as mind games, but the whole thing just came off as weird and it did nothing to build to their Money in the Bank match. Maybe WWE were afraid of giving Rollins the upper hand and then Roman getting booed out of the building. Or giving Roman the upper hand and then Roman gets booed out of the building. So that's Raw summed up, and as you can see overall, it's got to be considered a down. But with that said, the whole AJ Styles, John Cena, the club feud was so good, it makes up for any mistakes that there were and has left me feeling quite peppy about everything. WWE can't screw this up, right? Make sure you check out Scott's column every week over on WhatCulture.com, and then just spend your time reading all the other articles on WhatCulture.com as well, because life's too short to work. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and now I'm off to find out what's happened with Ryback, because, you know, some people say I look like him, and I really miss him.
WhatCulture.com are releasing a new magazine about wrestling, and it's called Wrestling. It'll have 140 pages of timeless wrestling content, including a brand new How WWE Should Have Booked written by this virulent son of a bitch. It will also have a list of the 100 best wrestling matches of all time compiled by WhatCulture staff and wrestling insiders. So the magazine is available to pre-order now. Follow the link in the description and enjoy WhatCulture.com's Wrestling.